I want to welcome you to another episode of Beyond the Surface Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Wanda J. Evans-Brewer. I'm seated at my desk this afternoon to discuss sexual intelligence. If you've never heard of it, don't feel embarrassed because in general, it's not a commonly spoken about topic. Most people who would be aware of it are usually professionals that work as sex therapists or couple therapists tend to know a lot about this type of intelligence. Is it a real topic? Absolutely. Although I did take the time to just kind of go and look in my dictionary online and see if I typed in sexual intelligence, what definition would come up. And not surprisingly, actually, it did not show up on my phone. I have, on the smartphone, I have the little dictionary.com. It didn't come up there. If you type it in URL on the internet, you get some more hits, but it's just not as common a topic to discuss, which actually is to my, I actually think it makes me a little sad because it's an important topic. So, what is sexual intelligence? Well, I'm going to give you the layman's explanation would be like, it's a complete understanding and awareness of what you like sexually, why you like it, and having the skill set to communicate that to a significant so that you can be in a place of pleasure and joy and a safe space in sex. I said a lot in a little sentence, but in a nutshell, that's what it is. In general, people who have a healthy sexual intelligence, they're able to self-reflect. They're aware of their own existence in sex, and they know that their sexuality functions as a life force, that it has energy attached to it. So you're not practicing sex as an act, as a machine. So you're not an animal. This isn't your season to mate, but rather you're very much aware of yourself as a sexual being. It allows you to walk through all of your senses, the feelings, thoughts, your sensations. You're conscious of behavior. So if you're comfortable in a particular position or not. If you're comfortable in a particular space or not. All of these things matter. What sexual intelligence gives you is a space to choose. So one of the things I think is important in this time is that we know how to say no, and that we have a voice to redirect and give loving instruction. No, not like that. No, I don't care for that. No, that hurts. No, that's too hot. That all of these types of things are important, and in individuals who understand their own sexual intelligence are able to do it. So part of the reason I wanted to do this podcast is that it's no secret, like the porn industry has dumped itself in a lot of places it used to didn't exist. So it's very, very heavy in music, particularly hip hop and rap, because of the use of the internet and smartphones. Now lots of sexually explicit images come through constantly, or at least are easily accessible because of the computer and smartphones. And so young people, before they've even figured out who they are sexually, before they've even come of age, I'm talking prepubescent, so 10 to 13, are already exposed to sexual images, and a big chunk of them are mean. A big chunk of them are controlling, dominant, are that put people in submissive positions where they're being humiliated or violated or shared, where if you have not figured out who you are sexually yet, and this is your tutor, this is your mentor, this is the person you go to for information about how do I express myself sexually and how do I allow someone to express themselves to me sexually, then that's a dangerous place to be. So this podcast isn't necessarily about demonizing pornography. That would have to be another show. This is more about helping people think about their own bodies and their own sexuality and their own desires and pleasure, because I like something or the other guy likes something, or a video or a movie or a song suggested doesn't even mean that's something that you want for yourself. So sexual intelligence is something that we need to start building up, not only in young people, we also need to start bringing a greater awareness of it to women. I want to read a quote. It's a very important quote. It's by a lady named Andrea Dworkin. It says, men have constructed female sexuality, in so doing have annihilated the chance for sexual intelligence in women. Sexual intelligence cannot live in the shallow, predestined sexuality men have counterfeited for women. I found her quote to be important and accurate. So, men have constructed female sexuality, and in so doing annihilated the chance for sexual intelligence in women. In other words, men have the porn industry, various venues that push a more misogynistic platform have defined for women what does it mean to be sexual as a woman. And that does not necessarily match up with what a woman feels is sexual or is her natural desire or her natural expression of her own sexuality. So what I'm saying is the two philosophies collide. They're colliding. And if that's true, then what she's saying is sexual intelligence cannot live in a shallow, predestined sexuality men have counterfeited for women. They've made up something for us, and it can't live there. Okay, case in point. Right now, there are lots of young girls that aspire to be pole dancers, that aspire to be strippers, that aspire to be in the adult film industry. And this came out of nowhere, because the whole time I was growing up in school, and there was no one that wanted to be in the adult world that spoke of it publicly. Okay. And now all of a sudden it's this big rage. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's, this is what you do to get through. This is how you take care. Where did this come from? And so the question is this what women want for themselves, or is this something that has been subliminally, directly, or driven by culture, society, and via culture, has planted the seed in their spirits. Thus, they believe they want that. I can tell you, and I was laughing with my husband today as I was preparing for this podcast, and I was sharing with him that I still remember in gym, in grammar school, it's like 4th or 5th grade, where you had to climb the rope, and you had to do pull-ups, and you had to do chin-ups, and I told him, I said, I hated it. Even in gym, I did it because that was the requirement. That's the only way you could pass the gym class. But I hated it. I never had this great upper arm strength. Incredible leg strength, but I never had this great. So the concept, even the idea of being, swinging from a pole, being a pole dancer, I hate it. I never wanted that one day for myself. So even if somebody told me, Wanda, you can make a lot of money. You could make a lot of money if you can pull yourself up and swing down and slide down. Listen, I would gladly pass on that. It's something else goofy I might get off into, but it would never be that. And that's part of my own healthy sexual intelligence, to know that, no, I don't want to be a pole dancer, because I never wanted to be a pole dancer. So we're having this discussion about sexual intelligence at a time where we have other people telling other people, if you really want to be intimate, you need to do this. So you hear men suggest that all women should dance. Why are we dancing all of a sudden? What happened to just basic, you take me out, I'm with you, we look in each other's eyes, we holding hands, the natural wetness, the dampness of the mouth, the beauty of looking into someone's eyes, and that incredible chemistry, that natural chemistry that pulls and attracts and pulls us together, the power of pheromones, where we actually enjoy the scent of one another, the delicateness, the sensuality of touch. When did it get to a performance? So that's part of why I'm having this podcast, because I'm suggesting that over the last 15, 20 years, Americans' sexual intelligence has gone down. And it's gone down because it is, much like the quote said, it's counterfeited for women. Women are doing what is expected of them, which makes it not the exchange of pleasure, but actually one person is being pleasured and the other person is performing. This is what I see. Women, you're dancing. Now you're on a pole. When it's not that, it's all these other forced acts. So the woman is expected to provide fellatio, but there's not necessarily an agreement on the exchange of anything. A lot of dominating, a lot of dominating videos, a lot of dominating images where although there is some sort of sex act going on, the woman is actually in a position where she's almost humiliated. When you hear lines where I could pass it to my friends, where when I die, I just want a big booty girl, like I only want butts. You start to wonder, is there any sort of beauty in the act of sex? Now, I'm one of those people that believe that sex is one of the greatest gifts God gave man. I do not believe it's a dirty word. I do believe that man just is can get corrupt and vile and can take any good thing and spoil it. But in general, I do believe that God gave it to us as a gift, and he was very specific in his instructions of how we should conduct ourselves and who we should exchange that with and the power behind it. And of course, you all know, if depending on what you believe, but I do believe, I do follow a Christian philosophy. Hey, we had that apple in the Garden of Eden, and we fell short. Eve ate the apple, Adam came behind her, and we've been struggling ever since. We know that we fall short. So if that's true, that doesn't make sex bad. That makes how we see it and what we do with that gift not necessarily good. Some of us are healthier than others. I'd like for all of us to grow a better sexual intelligence, one that's not grounded in acting out porn scenes, but rather one that grows organically between the person in front of you. So you're having a natural exchange and you're following the rhythm of that exchange because these are two people that are drawn to each other and want to have the exchange. Thus, we're talking about intelligent enough to understand what consent is, intelligent enough to understand why performance isn't necessary, intelligent enough to understand the beauty of giving and sharing and exchanging pleasure, intelligent enough to understand that what an orgasm is and what it's not, and that men and women achieve that goal differently, and most importantly, intelligence of understanding the basics of anatomy. Some things cannot occur because of just folks' anatomy. I have a poem I wrote, and I say in my poem, I don't ass clap, I don't strip, I don't pole dance, I don't do any of that stuff. I'm not going to bounce. I don't bounce. I don't do any of this stuff. Look, I'm 47 years old. I've had 4 kids. I used to work out diligently. As you become an intellectual, a lot of times you do a lot of reading, a lot of writing, so you do a lot of sitting. You're not as active. Listen, I'm not getting ready to do any of that stuff. Am I still my husband's lover? Absolutely. Do we have a healthy sex life? Yes, we do. Has that been a necessary component? No. Now, one thing that the sex therapist will tell you, that even in your sexual intelligence, one thing you have to come to terms with to really truly be sexually intelligent is that the body changes. And as the body changes, so should the mind. So, pretty much what they say is, look, the 20s are your period to explore. The 30s is a period where sexually you're trying to bond with someone. By your 40s, you're into a rhythm. You have a rhythm with your body, with your mind. You kind of get it. You're not ashamed anymore. You're not pushing it on, but you're also not running from. By the time you're in your 50s, you've adapted. There's just, you kind of have a repertoire of what you enjoy about your own self and about sharing with another. And by your 60s, you've created your own style. You have your own style of how you explore love, intimacy, sensuality, and eroticism for folks who like to be erotic. And the thing that makes eroticism different is that when you bring in being erotic, you're bringing in your imagination. You're engaging more of your imagination into the sexual experience to just kind of freshen things up, just kind of shift gears. Because none of this stuff, eroticism, passion, none of it's sustainable. You cannot run off passion every single day, and you can't be erotic every day. So they give a formula to know when you're working on your sexual intelligence, and usually it's information plus emotional skills plus body awareness. That is the foundation of emotional intelligence. Of sexual intelligence. Information plus your emotional skills and your body awareness. So some stuff just don't feel good to me. It doesn't matter that Mary Sue liked it. It don't matter that the lady in the video liked it. It doesn't feel good to me. Part of what you're trying to do with sexual intelligence is be able to say that lovingly with your partner, and they intelligently respond and adjust. Not because you're bullying them, not because they've done anything wrong, but because they're intelligent to know that if you've gone through the period of exploration, if you've bonded with somebody, if you've gotten into a rhythm, if you know how to, if you know if we're building to make it to that level, then that's part of what we have to do is trial and error and grow. And to do that, you have to walk through the senses. You have to be sensitive to feelings, to thoughts, to the sensations and the behaviors that's happening. This is conducting your sex in a state of awareness, conscious, that you're making choices on how that sexual energy will be shared. The power in that is that you're able to create and maintain desire. And the situations won't matter. Some stuff, sometimes the temperature's wrong, the room is wrong. Sometimes you think you're going to do a little getaway. It didn't turn out like you thought it was going to be. If you have good sexual intelligence, you can adjust. And you can adjust, and it won't hinder your curiosity and your open-mindedness. You'll still be able to be satisfied, have pleasure, build closeness. All of these things still happen with sexual intelligence. Now, it doesn't happen when what you're doing is taking what should be a healthy sexual act and minimizing it down to a pornographic scene that you have taken into your spirit and taken into your head. It's lots of stuff that people suggest. Multiple partners, menage a trois, swingers group, all of this stuff. Look, again, I'm not here to discuss it, demonize it, promote it, cut it down. I'm only here to say that as part of your sexual intelligence, you have to know where your limitations are. And you have to recognize that everything comes with a consequence. So I pretty much function as a exclusive lover and I'm monogamous, not because, I'm some goody two-shoe, but rather because I have no interest in soul ties. I do not want to be tied in the spirit to anyone other than my husband. Once you start bringing in soul ties, you bring in other types of spirit, jealousy, depression, envy. I don't want those spirits in my bedroom. Anger. Then you bring in things that eat at the spirit. You worry about your performance. You begin to compare yourself to others. All of these things cause confusion in your bedroom, but the bedroom starts in your head. So part of what you're trying to do with sexual intelligence is keep your head clear. Keep it clear, and that's part of that process of self-reflecting and being honest and being able to say, I like this, I don't like that, this hurts, I'm willing to do this, but I'm not willing to do that. I can only go so far. You're walking in your own personal sexual truth based off you. So I'm not Kim Basinger. I'm not Beyonce. I'm not Cher. I'm not Tina Turner. I am Dr. Wanda J. Evans-Brewer, and I am the only person having that experience. I know what sustains me, what fulfills me, what satisfies me. And that's what sexual intelligence will give you, where you are aware of you. And so all of that other really doesn't matter because you're trying to work with the energy, with the conscious awareness of anatomy that you have for you. So, what planet is see? Well, it's like I told you, lots of people are robots now. You see people. There was some girl on the internet. She was in the bathtub dancing, and what she was showing was how she was showing how she dances. She had on like some sort of teddy, and she was dancing and trying to look sexy into the camera. She had clearly put, and at some point she goes forward and she slips and she's grabbing at the shower pole, and she like basically she almost killed herself in the shower trying to imitate some like sexual I said, where did she get that from? Where did this lady, when did it pop in her head to set up a camera where she's dancing and singing into this screen in a teddy and heels in a tub? Who planted that? First of all, no woman puts on high heels, specifically a stiletto, and steps in a tub. Tubs are ceramic, they're slippery. They're slippery when you don't have on anything but your bare feet. That's why we put the little shower mats and things down to secure ourselves from falling. So just all the thought that it already started off as a less intelligent attempt at a sexual expression. That girl saw somebody do that. That girl saw some video and tried to mimic some scene. They showed another video one time. There was a man, he was singing some slow ballad, and he had the water running down his face, and he takes his hand and rubs it across his face, and the next thing you know, he inhales water, and he starts choking, and that's one of the things he says, as he's gasping for air and choking, and eyes bulging and spinning and popping out of his head, and finally he says, damn, I almost killed myself trying to be sexy. And I thought, yeah, because you imitating something that's unnecessary, and it gets back to what was said in that quote. Men have constructed female sexuality, and in so doing have annihilated the chance for sexual intelligence in women. Sexual intelligence cannot live in shallow. That's so shallow. You stand in a tub with water running down you and you're singing and you end up choking off of it. Predestined sexuality men have counterfeited for women. It was a counterfeit guy. That man, he was not a professional at that. He clearly did not know what he was doing. He didn't have a professional camera crew. Somebody else would have probably, edited the choke part off. But here it is, and you're embarrassed, and this stuff is up on the internet. And, these are all small, wacky-dacky kind of things, but it speaks to a larger problem. First of all, everybody's not sexy. So much of what people are mimicking, you're seeing them believe that they're other people instead of being authentically who they are. Are we sexual? Yes, every human being is sexual. We're born with a sex, and we're born with a gender. So these are not debatable things, okay? That's not the issue. The issue is, how do you want to express that with another human being? What is a healthy way to express that? That you're really honoring the moment, providing, sharing, exchanging pleasure, aware of your feelings, your thoughts, behaviors, and sensation, without losing the beauty of what the gift was for in the first place. Well, it's a lot. I'm sure we'll talk about this topic on some other occasion. I can't imagine it going away too soon. I do want to encourage people who know, particularly young people, to not take in a lot of the images that objectify, that display women being violated, men dominating, to essentially not allow the media to be their mentors, so that they can get a healthy and intelligent, as well as a truthful skill set, where they can get information that really will help them understand their own anatomy, their own mind, their own interests, their genuine desires and sexual expression, as opposed to what's being imposed on them. There's a woman that did a TED Talk. I can't think of her name right now, but the TED Talk is Make Love, Not Porn. And one of the things that she talked about, and I have to say this as I wrap up, she was talking about how some young girls' first experience is through looking at porn through their smartphones. And so she dates younger men. She's an older woman. She dates younger men. And she was saying how she prefers younger men. Like, that's not an issue. The issue is the first time she ever did that, she had somebody ask her. She had a couple of times where somebody asked her, could they come in her face? And she was like, no, like, I never wanted that. And so she tried to imagine, like, what would happen, what is happening that that's the first impression, that he had this impression that would be how she would receive pleasure. And he really didn't kind of see anything wrong with it. And she had to really, like, sort of help him through that, help him understand, like, you've received a message from someone, and that's why you think that's something that I would want. But no, that's not anything I'm asking you for, and it's not necessary for this exchange. So, she didn't say no one wanted it. She just said she didn't want it. And the reality of it is that many, many people are functioning like that now. Many people are functioning with the understanding that the images that they're taking in is what everyone is doing. Everybody likes this. Everybody's doing it that way. No, everybody isn't. You need to find out what works for you. You need to find a place where you feel safe with your clothes off, sharing an exchange with someone where you don't feel violated, where you feel respected and honored and loved. And then you know that you have a healthy sense of self. The other thing is, there's no greater word than no. I have a toddler. She tells me no all the time. I love this. I hate that she's telling me no, to tell you the truth. But nonetheless, I feel empowered that she has a sense of the word no. We have to recognize that no is a loving word. It's okay to tell people no. I don't want that. I know I don't like that. No, I don't want to do that. And that's also a sign that you're very much sexually intelligent. I want to encourage you to check out a couple of websites. One of them is makelovenotporn.com. Very important site. I also want to suggest to you to check out mybeautifulsexlife.com. Both of these are sites that are really there to educate and encourage, to give you a better sense of being beautiful and honored and loved, as opposed to objectified and exploited. So I'm excited. I mean, this is my first time doing a podcast of this nature. I'm usually talking more about FYI kind of issues and sort of social, political kind of issues. It feels good to really talk about the sensual and the sexual a little bit too, because I am 100% woman and happy to be one. Nonetheless, you've been listening to Beyond the Surface Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Wanda Evans-Brewer. Until we chat again, be safe in God's grace.